Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Oh,
Welcome. This is Edna White, and I am your host for Keeping It Real on Purpose, the podcast where we come together with real talk about real issues and struggles in life, relationships, and business, all on purpose. Today, our guest is none other than famous, the outstanding author that he is, um, Kyle Srpyrides. Am I saying it right? Because audience, I always get names wrong. So I think I'm saying it right. Now, we had a conversation before the show about I was mixing you up with somebody else. So I did ask his forgiveness, audience. I asked his forgiveness. So I am so glad you're here today, finally, to talk about your book. Welcome, Kyle.
thank you, Edna, and I'm sure you're glad that I'm not that other guy.
Yes, I'm so happy. So happy.
Revelation.
So where are you calling us from? Where are you calling us from?
So Perth, Western Australia. So it's on the west coast it's on the west coast of Australia.
Yes.
It's on the most populated timeline in the world. So it goes right up to Singapore, but it's so far away
Wow.
from the eastern side that it's like closer to other countries. That's how far.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's the most
Very
isolated
nice.
city in the world.
Really?
Yeah.
I gotta go there. I've been to Australia, but I have not been there, but I'm definitely going now. Now that you
Yeah.
say that, definitely gonna go.
You're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go. So how do you show up in the world, Kyle?
So how I show up in the world is every single day trying to beat that sort of benchmark of my
Okay.
best potential. So
Okay.
I was gifted a lot in my life, and I had people in my life that, at that kind of crossroad, whether you could go down a not so great path with not so
Mhm.
great people and do not so great things, or choose like a location where you can get a resurrection.
Right.
I had more of a resurrection in my life, so I had people show up for me in my life, and
Mhm.
really they were like angels, my grandparents, and they ended up becoming my
Okay.
parents.
Okay.
So for me, every day, I think it's a challenge, but it's a great challenge. And I think this is for everyone. Getting out of our own way. We've got
Yeah.
we've got such a phenomenal brain, but sometimes the brain that we had when it was smaller as a kid knew how to
Mm-hmm.
have fun, knew how to go
Yeah.
after its dreams, knew how to create, knew how to just figure stuff out. It didn't sit there, woe is me, oh my gosh, there's so many things piling up, what do I do? The smaller brain knew what the heck to do. So the bigger brain, the brain that's got more information in, unfortunately, I think a lot of the time has got more bad information in. And so for me, probably the biggest, like how I show up in the world is to wake up and do step in the greatness that my grandparents paved for me, which was they lived for themselves and their lives, yes, but they really did live for how can I serve other people and
Yeah.
how can I help lift other people's lives up. And I think that is probably it's not to say like you can't be happy with yourself or you can't be content with,
Mhm.
your own early night sleep or your own, the things that you enjoy your life. But
Uh,
it's saying that, um, I know that I've got it's actually self-love at a higher degree, because you're going, I know I've got a lot that I can look after in my own life and take care of.
right.
And I've got the strength now to help take care of others and look after others. And it's such a blessing to be able to do. And I think what I was saying before is you get out of your own ways, because you get up and you go, oh my gosh, the world's happening to me. The world's happening to me. This thing, this recession, this challenge, this all these things are happening to me. Or you
Sure.
can get up and go, okay, well, what am I going to do to be a part and engage and interact with the world and interact with other human beings? And as soon as you flip the script towards that, how am I going to interact and engage? God, you live a lot better lifestyle and you live a lot better life, and you start to vibrate at a higher frequency.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I always talk about my 5-year-old child that had like no cares in the world. Whatever was bad happening, that 5-year-old put it out of their mind and tried to conquer the next mud pie, the next jump over a puddle, the
Yeah.
next swing, getting on a swing and going high as they possibly can. They put it out of their minds, and one of my affirmations every morning is to, whatever I do, part of it is whatever I do, have fun like like a 5-year-old. So
Yes.
whatever am I doing during the day, if I'm not having I can't get giddy with it.
I like that.
I'm not doing it, and if I can't smile at it and really be, yes, I'm being responsible as an adult and I'm being present, but if I can't have fun at it and have a smile on my face, then it's not worth doing. It's not worth putting into, you
Yeah.
know?
I love that. If I can't get giddy with it,
Yeah, if I can't get giddy with it, I'm not doing it.
that's a
It's
good
not.
benchmark.
I'm just not, and I say that for every job that I go to. If I'm not gonna get giddy with it, and it's, I'm not gonna do it. But I always try to leave where we enter to whatever space we into better, right?
Yeah.
Than we received it.
Yes.
So as people who want to be change agents or on an assignment, we want to leave a space or a position, whatever it is, better than we found it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's
100%.
what I hear from you.
Yeah, yep. I think my grandparents, it's kind of like a spiritual obligation or a spiritual debt in a way. We were here to help guide you
Right.
towards a better way. And so, and my grandmother, so my grandparents raised me. My grandmother, her father said to her, you've been given a lot in life, and so it's your obligation to give a lot more. And
Right.
she carried that, and she's 90 years old, and she's recently just been put into a respite center, and people walk past her, and everyone that walks past her, she gives a compliment or she says hi, and she tries to look into their eyes and interact. And she's so she's giving so much of herself by allowing them to kind of lift from their low vibe, low energy. And it's remarkable to see that at 90 years old, you can still. And a few years ago, she had someone whose father had been, she was a counselor for 60 years, whose father was counseled by her.
Wow.
And the daughter came back and said, you did such great work. You opened up so many things for my father. And I wanted to come bring myself and my daughter to you. So,
Right.
And then at 88, and she's not doing it. She's not, a part of the board and all that sort of stuff. But she said, look, I'll have a sit down and have a chat with you. And so it's very interesting to see that you can keep giving right up until those years,
Absolutely. That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. That's what I want to do. I want to follow after your grandmother. Just feel, vibrate that great, the body may not be there where I want it to be, but vibrate that, be able to vibrate that. I always talk about the vibrations. No matter what you're going through, vibrate, what you want. You really do that. So can you share a little bit about your journey as an author? Because I know that you've had some great experience around that, and I we had some talks before this, even before this debacle of the Zoom encounter.
Zoomed right
But
past.
we've had some conversations. Share with me and my audience about your journey as an author.
Yeah, for sure. So, interestingly enough, I just had a friend of mine who's in Canada who just left a review for the book on Amazon, and she just said, I'm still getting through this book. And she goes, she said, it's heavy. There's 10 books in one. So I was like, oh goodness. So I'm still getting different response, different feedback responses, but it's been great to get. I think the biggest thing was, and I keep repeating this, but I heard it. I've heard it a few times, and it's that it's going to be more challenging than you think, or it's going to take more action, than you think. And I think that's because our mind perceives only so much, which is kind of for our benefit, because otherwise we whether it's the diet program or whatever, we perceive so much action
That's
But
right.
if we saw it all, we might not get started, because
Exactly.
it takes a lot of effort. But then, but it's going to be more challenging, or it's going to take more effort than you think, but it's also going to be more rewarding. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I found with the journey as writing the book, was that people that were reaching it back out to me and going, thank you for sharing that. That was such an important subject to be discussed, and like your honesty and your authenticity, and also your courage to be able to talk about these issues and not hold them back. And it's funny, because I would wake up in the morning and I'd go, God, did I put that in the book? Did I put that in the book? Did I really publish that? Oh man, can I get that back? And I had to work
Can
through
I
a few.
erase that?
Yeah, and I had to work through that, because it was like you're putting your, like, for me, basically what it is, it's a transformative memoir. It basically goes through like what happened in my life, and then the lessons that I
Right.
learned from it, and then basically
Mm-hmm.
the people that steered me right
Mm-hmm.
to be on a better path. And it really did come about as colleagues and different people that I was meeting quite frequently, and I know them for 5 years, and they started, once they found out a little bit more about my life story, they said, well, how are you normal? How are you normal? And
Right.
now I don't necessarily think I'm normal, but I think they were just asking, well, like, how did you
How
kind
did
of,
you balance this out? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. How did you find a
Mm-hmm.
way through? I think that was
Yeah.
their question. And then so I started asking that question, and the book actually came out of like quite a spiritual experience. So I was
Mm-hmm.
over in Sydney, so I'm on the West Coast, and then Sydney's on the East Coast. I
Okay.
was over there, and my grandfather was kind of getting to the end, and so we got him a hospital bed in his house, the house that he designed as an architect, that was looking over the bay. And so with the kookaburras, the native Australian birds, and the lovely
Yeah.
trees and everything, so he got to, because he had never taken pharmaceutical drugs, and never had surgeries, and never like really gone to the hospital in his life, so 92
Okay.
years old, such a great run. And he started to get sick, and then we took him to the hospital, and he like, I wasn't over there at that time, but apparently he just couldn't handle it. So that's why we got him a hospital bed, brought him home, into his own home, so he could pass away in home. And so I was holding his hand right up to the last minute, and he passed away,
Mm-hmm.
which is an incredible experience in its own right. And came back to Perth, sat on my bed, and I was just deep in prayer, and I just said, God, ether, Jesus, whatever anyone wants to call it. I said, look, I don't want to be, I don't want to be bumbling around for the next 30 years. I've had multiple near-death experiences when I was 18, had, it was in a coma, had all these different things, had trauma and abuse when I was younger, all this sort of stuff. And then had, the ups of life, my grandparents, and I just don't want to be bumbling around anymore. I'm not afraid of death, not afraid of social disapproval or embarrassment. I just want to get on path,
Right.
and do the good work that I was sent here to do, like get on mission and do the work that I was sent here to do.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, this book came out of the left corner, like my eyes were closed, and then I had the image, and then I had the title, Decide Your Destiny. And Decide Your Destiny was something my grandfather told me 2 months before I had that whole life-changing experience and went into a coma. And we're just sitting on the couch in the lounge room, and he just turned to me, he just had this big smile, and he just said, decide your destiny. And I said, what, Clivey? He said, decide your destiny. I said, what are you saying, mate? Because we weren't talking about anything. And he just said, make sure whatever you do in your life, that you decide your destiny. And then that kind of went out one ear, and then it came back, like 7 years later, when I was in that moment of prayer. And then
Right.
and then I got this other message in my ear, and it just said, write your story. And so that's how it came about. I didn't realize how hard it would be.
And how hard is that? Let me just share some hard challenges that you had.
Yeah. All right. Well, my voice is already getting croaky. I can't handle it. Don't even want to remember. No.
Share one. It's okay. It's all right.
Well, it's I think so. Photography is my full-time job. So I think if I was writing, like 10 tips on how to take better portraits, or 10 tips on great lighting in natural environment. I think I could crack that book out, like in a week. Like if I really hustled and pushed, I could get it out. But the thing with this book is that it was something that kind of was birthed out of me. So I was like trying to uncover. It's like I almost say it's like Michelangelo, with a big piece of rock. You've got to cut back all the crap, and then get like some sort of nice statue, and so you're having to, so I got out 700 pages, and then it was like, God, this like book is like gigantic. I need to cut it back. It went mad. I had to cut it back. And then the other challenge was when you're writing about stories of pain or transformation or challenge, I'll edit 1 or 2 pages, and then I'll feel like I need to go have a nap because the emotion. And so you balance so much overriding with that, and it was a major ordeal. That it was kind of like I kind of like made a mountain of papers the size of bloody Mount Everest, and I was how am I going to climb this thing? And so so I think advice I would give to anybody who's thinking of writing a book, I would say, so I did a course, learned how to write, learned how to learned the whole process, all those sorts of things. But I would say a friend of mine she's still writing her book, but I know it's really helped her, and it sounds fantastic. She found a book coach, and I had a book coach with this course, but it was all online. So she's found a book coach locally in her city. So basically she goes and sits like at a coffee shop, and then the book coach will go, okay, so like, this session we've mapped out the chapters, and then the next time she'll go, all right, chapter 1, how are we going to strategize it? And then that way you're very intentional with the stories and the exercises and the lessons and the practical things you want the reader to do and why you want it to do, because the book really has to synchronize together, each chapter leading into each chapter. And so you can do that like the way that I did with the course and online coaches, and the coaches that I had were Amazon bestsellers, and so it's very, very good people. And then there were group coaching calls, but I think in person it just sounded a little bit nicer to be able to just be purely authentic, get all that junk out of your mind, and the coach to say, nah, cut that, that's crap, that's not gonna, well, it's not crap, but that's not gonna add anything to the story. No, that's too confusing. Yep, I want you to elaborate on this. And I eventually got an editor for my book, and that's what the editor did. So I'd say probably get a coach early on. And that's the same with most things in life. I think, people that have done it before can help you.
That's good. That's good information. Is there something that you could probably dispel for most authors who are considering doing this?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say what happens probably early on is you've got so many different ideas, right? And you've got so many different points and topics you want to talk about. The best books that I've read, and some of the best books that have done phenomenal, have one point or one message or one key destination. And the book is basically reinforcing that message, So whether it's a message of, truth, whether it's a message of, personal ability, whatever the message is, of being more vulnerable, being more authentic. I'm reading a book now called Something Candor. It's basically just teaching you how, as a boss, a CEO, as someone, to be able to communicate directly with your group of people so you can get things done. Because if you don't communicate with candor, and you're so worried about hurting people's feelings, the whole business can crumble because you're just avoiding poor work. So but that book basically just has one main point, but it's laid with stories of work. This person worked with Google, and they worked with Steve Jobs, and then they had their own company at the start, and it didn't work so well because they didn't have that candor, they didn't have that direct approach. And they didn't build that understanding. So it's got one main point, but it drives it home. So it might seem like, oh, what? Like, but I want to talk about so many different things, and you can. But I would say it's like all roads need to lead to Rome. You know, all roads kind of need to lead to that main point.
One focus, to one focus, that matters a lot. And as an author, that same concept has to come into play when you're writing your book, right? So you have to be really candid with yourself and say, oh, is this really necessary? Is this necessary? Oh, maybe I should take this out. What are we focusing? What am I really focusing on, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So that makes sense. I like that you said the book coach. Most people don't take that into account. And I do believe that you are the brand, you're the investment. You should invest in yourself, and you want this to be well thought out, well planned. You should have a mentor, a book coach, like you said, and that's investing in what you want, another focus, getting the focus of your book. So that's really important. And I like that you have one book, right?
Yeah. So I've got one book. Apparently it's 10 books in one. Just got told this morning.
10 books in one. I like that. So you don't have to go over it again.
No.
Break it down. Just break it down. That's all. So that's good.
But there will be more books to come for sure. And it's going to be like a part of a, so it's I think the way that I look at it now, it's like a universe that you're creating, and you've got the planets line up together, so the books will be lining up together,
Okay.
And there will be a part of a development as you kind of go along your own life's journey. But with the mentor and the coach thing, I mean, the simplest way to look at it for people is you can do it on your own,
right?
Or you can do it with someone else. And you look at people climbing Everest, they have Sherpas, they have people who help guide them. They have people who know the mountain, who know the crevices, who know when things fall down. I mean, what time to go up and what time not to go up.
That's a great analogy. It's good. That's good.
And they can see like you look out and you go, oh, perfect time. And they'll go, no, over here, you see that area? This place is about to be covered with a storm or a blizzard.
Right.
And that's the whole thing, because it might take you a year to get up the mountain, or you go with your Sherpas and it could take you a much shorter amount of time.
Exactly. That makes a lot. I like that. I like the analogy. Audience, you love that analogy. I love it. Climbing Mount Everest with a Sherpa. I like that. Yeah, that's great investment in yourself and telling your story, because I know when I was writing my story, we always think that this is our baby, we get it, and this is our baby. Don't want nobody to touch our baby, right?
Yeah.
And I know it's a hard thing to do, but it's always good to work with somebody, like you said, who's been a bestseller, on Amazon, or someone who knows the ropes, what the audience is looking for. This is your story, yes, but we need to package it or announce it in such a way that it's palatable to everybody, palatable people. Some people, like, they can take it. I've read stories too, and I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. And I used to listen to some of the people's stories, and I'd be like, I'm more triggered than I am happy about the book. It's like, so you want a perfect balance. You want to tell the story, right? Like you're doing. You want to tell the story, but you want to have a solution, and that's what I think your book kind of like has. It's like, I'm telling the story, what I went through, and now here's how I got through it.
Yeah.
Is that how it goes? Is that how your storyline is?
100%. Otherwise, it's like you're leaving. It's like a movie, and you're leaving everyone at the cliffhanger. You're like, okay, guys, here's the credits. Head out the movie. Go enjoy your day. And you're like, wait a minute.
Go enjoy your day. I'm on the cliff. Like, it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what the hell? You can't do that to me. You can't. Now I feel half of me, and I think that's the work, like what you wrote, like what authors write, it's a part of you that you're it's literally a part of you that you're giving.
Sure.
And then when someone reads it and interacts with it, they're involving a part of themselves. It's kind of like two people will communicate, and one person, you'll be communicating to that person, but you're not talking to them. You're talking to what you're debating with in their mind, and what they're debating with in their mind. They're going, like, oh, like, do I have to listen to this person? Who is he? Should I be here? Like, what could I be doing? Like, what should I, and like they've got things going on in their mind, that like, oh, I'm not really sure if I believe that, my mother told me it was like this. I heard it was like that.
Preconceived notions.
Exactly. So they've got like 20 different voices in their head. And with today's world, like how many different distractions online, and what I just got updated with Twitter and today, and all these things. And it's like, oh my God. So imagine, trying to bring that presence like to the person, like, hey, we're here now. Story does a great job at that. Bang, I'm going to take all that's going on in your mind, in your day. We're just going to, put that in a box. And now there's this compelling story. And then they're present because they're invested in that story. And then once they're invested in that story, then you can actually tell them, okay, this is how the solution. And I was really focused with that, like you said, with the book, I was really focused, okay, how can I provide a solution? How can I, because I like books where it's like, tells me a story but then there's a solution. But if it just gives me solutions and solutions, it's like, okay, well, like, let me write this down.
What do I relate that to? Yeah. What do I relate that to? What is going on?
Yeah.
It's like a chocolate chip cookie without the chocolate chips. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
Where is that? You gotta have it all to work. You gotta have everything to make it work, right?
100%. And you mentioned that you came off a call with the coach. I've got a mentor that's helping me at the moment, and he's got an amazing ability he's just got so many. He says it's how he remembers, and it's how his brain remembers, is he attaches lessons to stories, and there might be and it's so powerful, and there might be stories, and it's how I remember. Like, I'll think of someone and I'll go, oh, like the story brought up that lesson, and I can use it in real life. So he has this amazing ability, and he'll talk about like simple stories, like, there were these two fishermen, and like all those sorts of things. They're not necessarily related to his personal life, but he'll have like 5 different ways of the same lesson with different stories. And I'm like blown away, just in awe, because now my mind's getting it in different ways. And that's probably another thing, is I think it's very, it's a big part of the ego to think that if you've heard it once, you've got it, like you like, does your muscle just stay strong if you work it out once? Like,
I don't think so.
No. And my grandfather used to always say, like, Kyle, you're working out at the gym, you're working out you're working the muscles out at the gym, but make sure you work the muscle between your ears. And basically saying, just, make sure you're working on the brain, and it's the same thing. You got to keep going and learning in different ways. And it's not, it's a gift, it's a blessing, it's a treasure to be able to learn similar lessons in multiple ways, so you can really get it, and you can like sear it into your consciousness, because and even your subconsciousness, because look, back in the day, not everyone had access to information like they did. Most of humanity didn't have access to any of the information that we have at our fingertips.
Right. I was watching, I always watch a lot of old shows from like the 60s and the 70s. I like a lot of that stuff. I was watching Hawaii Five-0, and everywhere they went, they had to go to the phone booth. You remember that? And I'm like, I don't know how they even survived. It's like even the police officers had to go to a phone booth and make a call to the station. I'm like, I don't know how they survived. They could put the money in and the call. I was like, this is like now we are so blessed to have so much information, like you said, coming all in. And it is hard to be an author because, again, all this information, new authors, coming in, and we got this bombardment. But like you said, it's important that you share your story, because I found out that my story is not unique. we can all have the same, I mean, not kidding you, the same exact story, but we have a difference. We're different. Like we
Yeah.
respond to it differently, and we have solutions differently, or we feel differently about it. Have you found that in
Yeah.
when as you're writing and your writings, you found that like people associate your story? Yeah, I had the same thing, and but they responded differently.
Yeah, 100%. Like, there's a great my stepfather said this great quote. He said, "We're all experiencing life, but each one of us are experiencing it in our own way." And I think that's
Yeah.
the big difference, is that um, like someone was reading my book, and they were saying like, oh, you have this ability to transmute challenge into like lesson, and
Mhm.
apply it to change something in your life so quickly,
Mhm.
um, and not get wrapped up in the
Right.
compounding feelings and emotions and the turmoil
Mhm.
of the challenge. And they're seeing only a little bit. They don't know what maybe might be going on in my mind or my heart,
Right.
my
Yeah.
emotions that I'm holding down, maybe,
Sure.
or at that point in my life that I was holding down. But now I've gotten better at that kind of, okay, crappy thing happened, crappy bit of information. What can I do? What can I do?
Yeah.
Straight to what can I do? Um,
Mhm.
Rather than like it wiped me out for half the week, and I
Right.
didn't,
Exactly.
woe is me. And I think that like she had similar memories, similar like some situations, but um, yeah, she kind of didn't experience it the same way. So I think that's the
Mhm.
gift that we can use is, how did you figure out a solution? How did you, oh my gosh, so how many people have gone bankrupt in their business, or how many people have had a divorce, or this or that, like all these different things, or had depression, like everyone's felt depression and these sorts of things, but okay, how did you draw yourself out of that? And I definitely
Right.
think, with what you were talking about, and obviously your story, it's it's a very traumatic and intense story,
Mhm.
it's a life changing thing from a very early age, that no one should ever have to go through, and
Right.
but it's amazing, like you said, as soon as you open up, you realize how many, and you go, oh my god,
Yeah.
there's so many people out there, and that's when you realize you're striking a chord with people, and you're connecting to
Right.
people, and you're making real impact with your story,
Mhm.
and sometimes you're just the kind of the facilitator for them to go through the healing process, and I think
Mhm.
that's a big part of it, is that if you can find ways to connect with them. So you don't want to be so out of the universe that you can't connect, to
Right.
the reader. You want to
Oh
be,
no.
no, I mean,
Presence.
you've got your interesting way. Like, I mean, everyone's got their interesting way.
Yeah.
Like, I love your energy. You've got such an awesome energy, and so you've got your way that like not everyone is expressing every day. So that adds curiosity. Like, who's this? Who's this enigma? Who's this? This person that's totally different
And
to
they
me.
do call me that, like you're one in like a million. I was like, I don't think so. I think there's other people like me. I just haven't connected with them yet.
Yeah. Well, see, that part is great, because it's like that's curiosity. Okay, you're a bit strange, you're a bit unusual. You're not like the 20 people standing in that line over there. But then also, oh wow, I can feel like I can connect to you.
You hear my dog?
I did.
Cooper. Cooper.
Cooper.
Shh.
Hey, Cooper.
He's like about this big. Okay. He thinks he's
Oh, he sounds a lot bigger.
no. He's this big. He's got to boss everybody around. But that's not even part of the show. Sorry.
That's,
My
that's
audience knows all about Cooper. Cooper's the worst. But he just whole piece of work. So
sounds bigger than she looks.
what's your favorite chapter? I want to know out of the 700 pages, what's your favorite chapter?
Okay, well, so I brought the book down. I did cut it down to a lot
Oh,
less
good.
pages. Yeah, I cut it right down. Cut it right down. And that
Okay.
was, so I cut it down a ton. So it's a lot. It's a lot more.
Oh, good.
It's more digestible. Yeah, and it's like that whole thing, Michelangelo, cutting back the stone to get
Yeah.
like that beautiful, um,
Great.
and so yeah. So I'm glad. And so favorite chapter. That's a great question. I think the chapter that's probably the most I'm thinking through the chapters. All of them I kind of bare my heart and soul, but there's there's a couple chapters in the middle of the book where I kind of talk about my heart journey as a young kid, and the challenges that I had and how that kind of changed my whole outlook on life. And really, like, it, it's pretty much, took my life completely away from me, and my opportunity and my dreams and my goals and everything that I wanted to achieve. It took, like, it swallowed everything, took it away from me. And then I had to kind of start rebuilding from scratch. And then through that sort of death and rebirth, I had a newfound perspective and a new lens for life that I didn't have before. And kind of this almost like urgency to kind of create, this curiosity and this urgency to create and create impact. So that would be like counting the beats was one of them. Repair or replacement was another chapter. And lots of people love the chapter Heroes, which is chapter 4. And yeah, and then the final chapter where I discuss, like, faith is probably a really pivotal chapter for me as well.
So how do you apply that? I mean, faith, what do you talk about in that chapter? I like that.
Yeah, so the final chapters, I talk about, I guess, my probably faith as I came through, like, life and death situations. So times when I was in the hospital and couldn't see a way out, and literally, like, every single day for 6 weeks you're looking at, like, death's door, and then for like a year after, I've had to work out, okay, what surgeries and all these different things, and you're constantly confronted with this kind of mortality, and then so shifting from being so fearful of it from when you're younger, where you're just like, oh my God, like, is there an end date? Like, that's terrible. Like, why is there an end date? Shifting from that to embracing it and realizing, like, wow, memento mori, remember you will die, is such an incredible gift to life and to live. And find faith in the fact that, like, for me, I've got a strong belief that I'm a spiritual being. There's an energy source. There's something within me that continues on from this place. So my integrity and the integrity of my heart and character of my soul is not just important in, okay, as long as no one catches me, doing this, doing that. It's it's important to the thing that's going to continue on. So trying
behind people's backs, no
yeah,
matter what.
yeah, exactly. And look, we're all fallible, and we've all done things that, maybe, like, a wiser version of us looks back and goes, oh man, like, we've all had those moments, and like we were chatting about earlier,
I should have done that.
Yeah, and like we were chatting about earlier, especially if you're staying at that midnight to 2 a.m. sort of time in the nightclubs, then that's when that happens.
That's when the craziness starts happening. That's when your soul, I tell my friends, that's when your soul sleeps. Like, your soul leaves your body, goes up and gets some refreshment, and come on back. I can't lose that time. I need that time.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. Just to kind of just step out of it for a second, step away from it.
That's right. I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to miss anything. I've missed a lot when I was younger, of course, didn't know any better that my soul was, like, literally being recharged during that time. I didn't know that, Now knowing that, I know that my soul just leaves and it gets recharged. I honor that, I honor that place. And I think that's what you're talking about with the faith. Now you honor everything. I too had some more, mortality and 6 weeks in a hospital, not knowing what to do, and not if I'm going to live tomorrow, just taking one day at a time. It's really knowing what you just said. It's like, we're going to die. What do we do with that? What do we do with that? What do we do with that time?
Yeah.
And that's a big thing.
I love what you said there about the soul recharges. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it does.
Yeah.
I learned that. Let me tell you, I used to always, I love to meditate, and
Yeah.
of course, I love sleep. I love to
I heard
sleep.
that.
Time for sleep. I love it. Okay, so, but what I've learned is that when we're in a dream mode, and has happened to me, and when we're in a dream mode, we're not ourselves.
Mm,
So our soul literally comes up and goes out and recharges to the higher power and comes back.
yeah.
If we don't get sleep, right? We don't get sleep. And let's say we can be talking out of our minds because we're not recharged. It's like a battery. It's like a
Yeah.
battery. When people
True.
are depressed, what are they deprived of? Sleep. They're
Yeah.
deprived of sleep.
It's
So
true.
they're not recharging, and they're inverting. They're starting to wear down, and they're
Mm,
sucking the energy that they have left, and they're becoming like this, like they're literally their soul and everything's kind of folding up. So
yeah.
I've learned that, and it really is your soul is recharging. It has to
Powerful.
recharge.
Powerful.
Yeah,
You're
it
so
has.
right, because like when you don't get sleep and you the next day you're like, why did I say that? Like, how did that come out of my mouth?
You'd be like doing the stupidest things. You'd be like,
Yeah.
why did I do that?
Yeah.
Or driving somewhere. Where am I going?
Yeah. You're
I've
like
done that.
dumbfounded. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, where am I going? Or on the phone, waiting, like they have you on hold,
Yeah.
and you're like, who am I talking to? You forget
Yeah.
who you talk. It's really, you have to have that sleep, and that's what really revives your body and your spirit. It charges everything. It's
Yeah.
really important. People
Yeah.
forget that. We forget that we're with. I tell all my clients and say it often. We forget that we're energy before anything else. We may
Yeah.
be human, but we're energy before anything else. So the
It's
reason
true.
why we draw certain things is because we're energy. Whatever we're vibrating, we're getting. We're
Mm.
just like asking the universe, hey, come on in. So we get these like crazy guys or these crazy ladies, we're energy, we're vibrating that. We're getting that. That's what we're doing. So
Magnetic.
they're not looking for us.
Yeah.
It's like a magnet. They're not looking for us. They're just going by. You ever watched what's the name of it? With Keanu Reeves,
Yeah.
uh The Matrix.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And you know how the opposite side with all the black suits, they have all these little lines and numbers.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so think of this, all magnets. So they're all magnets, right? So they're talking about energy. So whatever you put out, you're going to get back.
Yeah.
So all of those lines, if you're not like them, like, and you see a couple of fives or numbers, they all kind of connect. They're all kind of connected. Whatever you draw. So if you're like them, you're going to be like this, and you're going to connect with everyone that looks exactly the same as you, right?
Mm.
Doing exactly what we're being told to do. But if you're vibrating differently, you're going to connect to the fives, the twos, the ones, whatever is other things that are going by. So I
So
say all of that because we're energy, and that's why we vibrate at certain times in our lives. We vibrate certain things, especially drawing other relationships.
mm.
Whew, those things is terrible. Whew, vibrate.
I feel you.
Whew,
I feel you. What?
whew.
But how crazy is it that you're born? And I mean, I truly believe it. I mean, I'm still working on why I chose it, but sometimes you're born and you chose.
That is correct. I
Like,
believe that too.
yeah,
I believe in the Bible, there's a part that says, and it's like, I forget what it says exactly, but it says we're under an altar and we're crying, how long? So people are saying, oh, well, I've been told that it was like when we want to die. I said, mm-mm. When you ask somebody how long, you're knocking on the door, like, listen, God, how long am I going to sit here? Because I really want to go down and experience this life. Like, I
yeah,
really want to go down. So we asked to come here,
yeah. I
right?
believe so. Yeah,
I really do believe the same exact thing. I believe that we asked to come here. Now, the life that we are in, we didn't ask for it, But now, if we attend to the 5-year-old and we literally take that 5-year-old stance throughout life, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we come back to that, we would be so victorious. Like the 5-year-old is so malleable. Like they revive. Like they snap out of it. They tell you about yourself real quick and they tell you the truth and walk away. Like, that's what you asked me to do. Like, it wasn't a big problem. If we're adults and we'd say the truth, we lie. And we'll say, oh, one time a lady in Macy's, I guess she thought I worked there. And so I was walking through and she goes, oh, does this dress? It was a purple dress and she was very fair skinned. And so she's, oh, does this dress look good on me? I said, I said, you need to wear green because it matches your skin. And she goes, oh my God, you work here? I said, no, you never asked me that. You just asked me. You asked me the question, did it look good on you? And I don't work here. So I just kept going. But you see, that's how a 5-year-old would answer. No,
yes.
It just look good on you. Be honest and see, that's part of integrity. And I think you're very truthful. I think just like me, and it shocks people. Truth somehow shocks people. Yeah. It's like when you say the truth. Do you think this looks great? No, you look a parakeet. No, it doesn't look good. You say those things. People are like, really? You're going to say that to me? Okay, you want me to lie? And I usually say to people that don't know me, do you want me to tell you the truth or you want me to lie? Which one you want?
Do you think that's because lying so like truth and honesty? Like, I mean, people talk about this sort of thing. I heard that they talk about like, trust in institutions, media, governments, everything is at an all-time low. And then they come up, people say like, oh, well, it must be because of the misinformation. And it's like, well, misinformation's been around forever. People have been Chinese whispers, telling, like ploying and planting different things. And even through the world wars, like each country had different people in other countries trying to destabilize the country from inside rather than invading from the outside, trying to corrupt it from the inside. So that's right. And that's the real way how you bring down a country, really. And so like
propaganda.
Yeah, exactly. So do you think it's that like it's so rare, like people are kind of maybe like their eyes are peeled back a little bit and going, okay, lying's so frequent, deception's so frequent, everyone's gonna just support their constituents and their group and kind of just pretend that this whole dirty mess over here doesn't exist because it doesn't support their cause. Like I think that's probably where the truth, or speaking authentically, shocks people, or they're like, oh my God, you shared that, like you were so, like it's like a shocking, because it's like, oh, like
I think people, I believe we're born with what we need. We're born with what you need. We may not be as sharp, but if I put on a purple dress and it don't look good, I know it don't look good.
Yeah, we get it.
So I want somebody to validate my stupidity when I ask them a question. Okay, I just want. I really do. It's really. I know it doesn't look great, So I think we're born with. And listen, there's this new invention called a mirror, right? It's a mirror, You look at it, you wear it, and if it doesn't flatter you, you take it off and give it away. That's what I do.
Yeah.
So I think that when people ask a question, they want validation to their mess up. Yeah. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And then when they don't get it, they're appalled. And it's not even about being appalled. It's like, oh, you saw my shit. You saw, that's what it is. You saw that, and that's what that is. It's not about they're appalled that you said the truth. It's like, oh, you saw my shit. You saw it. So they can't believe that you saw it. That's what I feel that they do. They stand back because you saw you saw right through them. Yeah. So I think that's what it is.
And you're right. Do. I think like it's like with being authentic, people can, stupid some people think humans are or whatever. It's people can read, like, never never ever discount what you think a person can read, because people can read
Sure.
you. If
Oh,
you're
sure.
if you're fake laughing, if you're half
Sure.
smiling,
They
like,
read it right away.
yeah.
Right away.
And so many people, whether they're so and so, blah blah blah, like, got this IQ or whatever, like, most
They
people
read them. Exactly.
can
They
read.
read them. Mhm.
Yeah.
They read them. And I think even going further than just reading them, I know for myself, and I'll tell you, when I really started working with on my intuition, started working really on honing the skill of intuition. And this is really funny, so do not laugh at this, but I'm going to laugh probably. So as I'm learning how to hone in on my intuition, I want to see the truth. That's one of my mantras. I want to see the truth. I want to know the truth. I want to speak the truth. I want to
Yes.
know the truth. I want to see this truth. I want to speak the truth. That's my thing. Okay.
Yeah.
That's one of my mantras. So I go out the first time, and I'm working on it. I'm really working on it. So I'm talking to someone, and literally they, the Charlie Brown's parents' voice.
Yeah.
And it's a wah, 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 and they're talking to me, and I'm looking at them, and I see their mouth moving, and I'm hearing wah, 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 and I'm going, I thought I was going crazy, like I really did. I really thought I was losing it. And I was like, what is going on? So I was like, and I'm saying, could you say that again? And I would hear it again.
Wow.
And I walked away from them. I walked away from them, and then the words that came to me again. I want to know the truth, see the truth, and speak the truth. Came right to me. If I'm not hearing the truth, I'm not going to hear it.
Yeah.
So whatever they were telling me was not the truth. So immediately now I know better. Like, yeah, and I asked for it. So now I can hear them talk. Like, that was my first lesson, and I can hear them speak, and right away. I know, no, that's not true. And I'll say it. No, that doesn't sound like the truth.
Yeah.
And I'll say that, explain that again, because that doesn't sound truthful. Doesn't flow like it's the truth. Yeah. And it's working with you into your intuition first with your faith, like you were talking about, and then honing in those skills that we were born with to kind of like hone in on those things that we can be more authentic.
Yes.
With ourselves and with other people.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's, I think that, that's the layers past, and it's past the material and the physical. It's like your spiritual ability. It's sure. You're affirming that, you're tapping into it, you're asking to have those superpowers back.
Right. Exactly.
For this time. And I think sometimes
the 5-year-old could know that. The 5-year-old knows when you're lying. They'll say you're lying. That's not true, mommy. That's not. They'll tell you. They'll like literally tell you. Or if you cook something that doesn't taste good, this tastes nasty, and then it's like they'll tell you it doesn't taste good. They'll tell you.
True. 100%.
That so like that the heart of and the Bible says except you come as a little child. We never took that really seriously. Like we never took that serious. That's one thing we should really. That one scripture there, if we ever take anything literal, that should be the one.
Say it again.
If we come, except we come as a little child, except we come to God as a little child, we won't be able to accept. Yeah. We have to come as a little child because God is wonderment. God is wonderment. He's like, you can't even say his without thinking gigantic, like huge. You can't even figure in minuteness, like it's the cell, like you can't even fathom the bigness or the smallness of them.
Yes.
You can't. There's no way.
I love what you're saying. My grandfather, and I just wanted to share my grandfather, he would always say this. He'd say, keep your inner child alive, Kyle. Keep your inner child alive. Keep that child. And he had when he was passing away, he was in the bed and he was coming in and out of consciousness. And my stepfather, who's how I'm a part of that family.
Mhm.
Like, so his son ran over to him and said, like, what are you seeing, Clivey? What are you seeing? And Clivey goes, he said, Jesus, and he had his eyes
Mhm.
closed. And then
Mhm.
Ward, my stepfather, asked this question.
Yeah.
He said, well, what does he look like? It wouldn't be a question that I would ask. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
had so many
yeah.
other
Yeah,
questions,
yeah.
but I can understand how a lot of people would ask that. And he said, like, what does he
Yeah,
look like?
yeah.
And so Clivey was like eyes closed again. He had this big smile on his face, and he said, he's by the river for me. He's holding a boat by the river. And then, Ward said again, like, what does he look like? And he said, he just went, love. And he just had that big smile. So when you share
Yeah.
that story about going back to God, like as children, I think
Yeah.
like my grandfather embodied that energy. He was the happiest
Mhm.
man I knew my whole life. He had that kind of joking,
Yeah.
charismatic, childlike
Yeah.
charm all the way up until 92. And
Yeah.
I think because of that, he was accepted in that way,
Yeah. Yeah. He was really accepted. It was almost a way for passage. That's it, for a soul to just like a way for passage.
Yeah.
That's all we're looking for, is a way to leave here with a great way of passage.
Yeah.
Just, the way we came is the way we want to go. He loved being by the river, by the water. He wanted to go, listen, I want a body of energy around me that I can go off into the sunset, and just like be where my humanism really wants to be. I
Yes.
want to be by the river, I
Yeah.
want to feel that. So, that's what we're all looking to do. And I really like our conversation. I really do. I
I
really
know. I
hope
feel like we could talk for hours.
I know, right?
Yeah.
We just started, but how can people find your book? How can we find your book, and how can we get in touch with you? That kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I'm sure we'll be chatting in the future. And
Oh, absolutely.
as long as you don't get me mixed up with the other
He just
guy.
texted me. I know. He just texted me.
Oh my God.
I swear. I swear. I said, "Oh my goodness, really, for real?" But anyway, it's a side joke, audience. We know what we're talking about. But yeah.
um, I love it. I love it. So probably where I'm most active is on YouTube. So Kyle Srpyrides. So it's
Okay.
Kyle, and then last name is like it's Srpyrides. It's spelled Srpyrides. So it's
Mhm.
Spyrides.
Okay.
And you can find me on Instagram or TikTok, Twitter, wherever your favorite channel is.
Okay.
I'll be there. And then the book is on Amazon at the moment, and it's also being distributed on Audible sites, audio
Okay.
sites. So it's going to be up on Audible and all those sorts of sites as well.
Absolutely.
Um,
Great.
and I think it's already on Google Play, which is cool.
Mhm.
And the website where there's going to be more information is decideyordestinybook.com.
Okay. Are you open for speaking engagements?
Yep. So I've got one coming up at the end of the month, which is
Oh, okay. Tell us about that.
yeah. So it's a speaking engagement called Stories from the Heart, and
Okay.
it's like it's in front of a big crowd, and it's got multiple speakers who are coming on and doing 6 minutes at a time and having to condense
Wow.
their story from the heart in that 6 minutes,
Oh,
and really
wow.
focusing on like making it conversational and kind of a story that the audience can feel and feel connected to, kind of rather than speaking at the audience. So yeah, so that I've had to kind of rewrite a few times and working with a speaking coach,
I bet you did.
Yeah,
It's like writing for Twitter. It's like everything's got to be like this big.
yeah, exactly. Like, how do I reword this? How do I cut the fat?
Yeah, you got to cut it back a lot.
Yeah.
So you're only 6 minutes. So that's what, 3 sentences, 3 to 4 sentences, maybe a paragraph, maybe.
I mean, it depends how quickly we talk. I mean, it could be multiple sentences, but it's probably started as a 20-minute keynote and taking that down and just trying to find like the succinct points. And
Yeah.
again, like with the book, same sort of thing, focus on one point and like kind of drive
Yeah.
that home with a
To
story.
the audience. Yeah.
So I'm working with a speaking coach to help me help me nail that out.
Yeah. And where is that going to be? Is it online?
So I believe it will be recorded online, and it's going to
Okay.
be it's going to be at a hotel in Perth.
Okay.
And then also I've got a couple speaking engagement opportunities that I've got to follow up on online.
Okay.
But
Good.
yeah, I'm definitely excited.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That is really good. Well, it's bringing us to the end of the show. I really had a great conversation with you, and I know my audience is going to have a whole lot of takeaways from this. And I had fun. I don't always have fun, but this time I really had fun. The conversation was really great. And audience, thank you for being here today. You could be anywhere else, but you're here with us today. So this is Edna White, your host of Keeping It Real on Purpose, and my guest today, Kyle Srpyrides, saying goodbye for now.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
That was awesome. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun.
That
was really good. We could have talked for another hour there.
I know. I was like, we're gonna have to do round 2.
That was really, really good.
Yeah.
I like that. See, that's what I like is conversation that they, don't miss a beat. We just go on to the next subject and just keep going. And the audience natural. Likes that. They really do like that. Like they don't know what to expect next, and it's fun. It's really fun.
100%. I didn't know what to expect next.
Well, this is great. So send it to me, both audio and visual. And the audio will probably go on. I think it's I am now into April of 2023.
Okay.
So yeah.
Awesome.
So you'll probably be in April, but I'll send you what date the episode comes out. And I post on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Perfect. Well, let me know, and then I'll share it. I mean, I'll share it all out.
Yeah, I'm going to send you everything so you'll know. Okay. So once you send it to me, I'll kind of put it in schedule and then upload it and everything. We're good. All right.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Thank you. Lovely chatting to you, Edna.
Oh, it's so great to meet you, and it was real good fun. Really, really good fun.
I'm glad we chatted, and remember, I'm not that other guy. And
yeah, no, he just texted me as you were talking. I was like, I don't even believe this. He's texting me.
That's crazy. Now I see how frequent it is.
Now I'm gonna tell you what his name is, and you're gonna be like, oh, that's why. Oh, what is his name now? I'm gonna tell you. You're gonna crack up because I was like, why did I tell him that I was gonna talk to him? I don't want to talk to him. But his name is, listen, Tyler Sloves.
Sloves.
Sloves. S-L-O-V-E-S. Sloves.
Now,
and if you look at it quick, it looks like yours. And that's why I was like, why am I telling him?
Kyle Srpyrides. Yeah, I can see.
Yes, you sort of think. So Tyler, Kyle, okay, yeah. That was a thing. And the S. And I was like, why do I want to talk to him? I don't want to. And I kept saying to you, I would never. And I'm going, what am I? I was like, oh my God, that's not the one. That's not the one. And I really am so sorry. Because I really thought he was him. I was like, I don't want to talk to him. He just DMs me every day. It's kind of ludicrous. It really is. I guess because, I shouldn't have asked the question, what do you do? Oh, and then it just turned into this whole thing. So you know how the Jehovah's Witnesses, you don't want to turn them away, but you gotta. Okay, yeah. It's bad. It's like I can't open the door, can't open the blinds, can't move. I can't.
I know. I got it. 100%.
It's really bad. But anyway.
I'm gonna follow some of your stuff and then keep interacting with you and
do that so we can talk again, and share, do something together again, even if we do something as far as I don't know, I think it's something that we can do like a workshop or speaking, that way we can lend to each other's audience and we can do something like that. 100%. Because Facebook is paying me to do a lot of workshops. So cool. So definitely I try to do at least 4 or 5 a month. Okay. So So
Okay.
let's think of something, come up with something that we could do to present to audiences on my side as well as yours. Let's
100%.
see.
Yeah,
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 let's see.
I'll work on that 100%. I'll think on what I
Yeah.
can. Yeah,
Maybe we
like
can
that
do
idea.
something with two chapters of our books that are kind of similar, and then
Yes.
we can go from there,
Yeah,
Maybe we
yeah,
can do
yeah,
something like
yeah. I like that. That's
that.
awesome. Okay,
Yeah, let's do
perfect.
that. Okay. So
All
we'll
right.
keep in touch, all right?
Yeah, exciting.
All
All right.
right.
Have a
All
great
right.
night.
You too. Have
Bye.
a great morning, great
Yes,
day.
I will.
Bye now.
Bye. Bye.